Des Moines, and all of Central Iowa, welcome to Mac's World Live. Mac's World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics that matter most to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Mac's World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Mac's World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
Thank you, Mr. Announcer. 7 minutes after 3 on the third day of November in the Lord's year 2015. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Man, I just realized something. You know, every day when I say what the date is, I realize that date has sometimes that date has a meaning to me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Is today one of those days?
Yeah, but I'm kind of unscripted right now. Look at my face. I'm kind of unscripted now.
You're a little kind of shell-shocked.
This was the anniversary of my first marriage, November 3rd, 1979.
Really?
Yeah, I just realized that.
Ooh.
That's crazy. So what was that, 40 years ago? Yeah, almost 40 years ago.
That's strange to just have. So you don't remember this, you don't celebrate it, you don't acknowledge it normally, you just kind of said it out loud. And
no, here's what I do, and this is rude, but for those of you that listen to the show, that won't surprise you. Whenever, and you've heard me say this.
Sure.
Oh, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Let me see. Last time I was wrong. Write it down. Last time I was wrong, November 3rd, 1979. That's what I'll say.
True.
Yeah,
that's
I always
true.
say that. Wow, that's weird. Okay, you and the audience didn't need to hear that. I'm sorry if that was inappropriate. That's how unscripted and raw this show is. I'm not making this up. I just said on the third day of November in the Lord's year 2015, and I thought 3rd of November. What is that? Oh, it's that date.
Yeah.
And this is what you know, here we'll turn this into a God moment. I remember standing at the front of the altar. Now, this woman and I met 6 months, 1 day less than we were married.
Okay.
So we met, got engaged, canceled the engagement twice, by the way.
In 6 months.
In 1 day less than 6 months.
Wow.
And looking back on it now, we were both just desperate to be adults and to get out of our parents' home.
Because you were young, right?
I was 18 years old.
18, yeah.
No, I wasn't 18. Yeah, I was 18 years old. No, I was 19 years old. But I remember standing at the front of the church as you're waiting for your bride to walk down, and she starts to walk down, and I looked up at the clock, and it was like 8 minutes after 11, because the wedding started at 11, and I remember thinking, this is wrong. Mm. And I remember the left side of my body wanted to go that way, to exit.
Yeah.
The left side of my body wanted to exit. And it's too bad, because she is and was a nice person. We were just way too young. 19, 18 is too young to get married.
Sure, and
you're not you don't have any idea what life is like.
And you'd only known each other for what, 6 months?
Less
than 6 months. That's incredible. Yeah, that was probably a bad choice.
Yeah, that was a bad choice. But I've made lots of bad choices. The last one I made was November 3rd. Oh, here I go again. All right. We have got a show today that we're going to do first. There's lots of little news stories I want to tell you about, but the most important one is what's going on in Knoxville, Iowa. Not Knoxville, Tennessee, Knoxville, Iowa. It has nothing to do with the races or the Marion County Historical Society or the FFA. But as Christians, something's going on that we need to be very, very disturbed about. And I just hope that at 10 minutes after 3 o'clock on Election Day, enough people have heard about this story that they can make a difference. Here's what's going on. By the way, hazmat crews were called to Urbandale looking at a suspicious powder. It was Clearasil, no big deal. Former city clerk in Defiance, Iowa, refused to admit she took funds, $11,000, improper unsupported distributions, whatever you want to call it. Family in Bondurant hit a tragedy. Past 3 years, 7-year-old son Landon had been fighting cancer. Landon finally went on to be with the Lord. The families all in the area came up to help with the harvest. Lined up 5 combines, several sent trucks, and an army of volunteers to get the harvest in. The Brick Street Market donated food. Just incredible. He noted in an interview that his dad would have loved this. In fact, for someone else, he'd be organizing it for anybody. That's what Bondurant, Iowa, that's what Littletown, Iowa is about. Now, Landon's battle has been in remission. I said that we had lost him. I was incorrect on that. His battle's in remission until it did return of late with his dad so sick. So dad's sick as well as a 7-year-old. Chris had to be driving to Kansas City to get treatment for Landon. It was just incredible, and all the people in Bondurant came around, and that's why you live in Iowa. Okay, that's why you live in Iowa, because your neighbors love you. Love thy neighbors as thyself? Well, we practice that here in Iowa. Well, except for Jerry across the road, my neighbor. I don't practice that with him.
I was going to say, there's some people that might not always do that.
Yeah, and then there's Jill. Jezebel Jill, I call her. She's across the street. No, we won't anyway. Love your neighbor. All right, so here's what's going on. Tamara Scott is here, by the way, and I've asked Tamara to come in because how did you get close to this? Because you've been kind of on the tail of this story since it happened.
I don't know. I guess it is close to home. Knoxville was in the area when I ran for office, so I feel a lot of those people are my friends. And this is the basic argument we have in our country right now. We are defending our First Amendment liberty.
Yeah.
And this is the crux of who our nation is. So it's very dear to my heart. And when they had the rally in such short notice, I just happened to have in my schedule the ability to make it clear and head over there. So.
And we're talking about, in my heavens, if you haven't heard it, I don't want rock you're living under, but crawl on out. Come on, we'll keep you informed. That's okay. There is a public park in Knoxville, Iowa. Mm-hmm. And there is a, I think it's metal. Is that correct?
I think it's wood. I don't even know that it's metal.
And I don't suppose it's more than 30 inches high.
You'll drive by it. If you didn't know where it was, you'll drive right by it.
Wow.
And it is a silhouette of a soldier.
Right.
A veteran kneeling down in front of a cross.
Right.
And did we ever figure out who complained?
I have not. Now we've got Doug. Is Doug on the phone?
No, he's not on the phone yet.
Okay. So Doug.
Come here, Frank.
I think he calls us. He's got the number.
Okay.
But I think Doug's last name is pronounced Jeff.
Jeff.
And so the story that broke, that was covered, and you can probably go on to the local channels and find the video when this originally broke. I think it was a Vietnam vet. Got shot himself. His friend was shot and died the next day. So he built, carved, or whatever, made this memorial in honor. That was all it was. Someone's heartfelt honor of the situation. And they put it in the public park. And someone raised a stink with the ACLU's backing. And I wish I would have brought a little book that just gives a rundown of all the millions of dollars the ACLU has cost the taxpayer and that they have made fighting us against the many beliefs we espouse that are listed in our Declaration of Independence when we honor God 4 different times, 4 different ways, our First Amendment, and the Mayflower Compact, the very first document by the first colonist. So we were a Christian nation, and if folks don't know that, I apologize. They need to sue their local or their public schooling because they've been let down. And that's a class action lawsuit we need to discuss. But the idea that this doesn't belong is just a falsehood.
Ooh, I like that idea.
Listen,
class
Mac,
action lawsuit against the government schools.
Think it through. If you bought a TV or if you bought a car, or we see things recalled all the time, right? But you can't recall students who have been programmed with the wrong instructions. And so if you had a TV or a product and it was guaranteed, or they told you this would happen and it didn't, you would go back on them and demand your money back or some type of remedy. We have generations and generations of school children who have been wrongly programmed, have not been taught the Constitution, have not been taught the freedom or the heritage of this nation. And yeah, I think there's grounds for a class action lawsuit.
I like that. I really like that because obviously we're going to find documentation, curriculum, in which they either ignored or lied about the facts.
Omitted.
Yes. I like that idea. Could the ACLU handle it for us?
Well, they certainly could.
No, seriously, though. Wouldn't that be up the ACLU?
ACLU's
line?
Are you confusing, which often happens with Jay Sekulo's organization?
That's
the ACLJ.
Yeah, that'd be good too. But why not the ACLU?
I don't know.
And there's another one very close by Robert Knight, and it's a civil liberties, and I can't think what that one's called either. Very close religious organization to protect our freedoms by Robert Knight.
All right, so we have Doug Jeff on the phone, and we're going to catch up with him right after we take our first break here. But basically what you have is you have two city council members of the Knoxville City Council and the mayor who held a last-minute meeting last night. Am I getting this?
Was it not regularly scheduled? Ask Doug when he comes on.
Okay, we'll ask Doug. But somehow last night, in the deep of the night, they voted to move this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's their appeasement.
They voted to move it to where? Well, actually, they banned it from the park. And now, if they lose the election today, then the people of Knoxville and Marion County will be able to send the message, you don't deny Christ in my name. You may have a problem with it, Mr. Mayor. You may have a problem with it, Carolyn and April. Oh, we're going to name names. These are public officials. They get their names named. Are you going to deny Christ in my name as your vote? Have you checked with your constituency? Because last time I looked, Knoxville was crazy for Jesus. We'll talk about this when we come back live here on Max World Live on The Truth 99.3.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
21 minutes after 3 o'clock on the third day of November in the Lord's year 2015. I'm J. Michael McCoy. We're pushing. I'm pressing up against Knoxville, Iowa today. Are you listening? 244-0077. That's the phone number. If you're in Marion County, you're in Knoxville, especially if you disagree with me, I promise I'll be kind and considerate, and I won't treat you like I treat Frank. I will be nice to you because I honestly want to know somebody who can tell me they're offended by this small memorial that's been in the Knoxville Park for ages.
I think it's new.
Is it new?
I think he made it relatively new, but I could be wrong about it.
Okay.
We'll ask Doug.
Well, yeah. Let's go to the phones where Doug Jeff, I think that is the correct pronunciation of your name. Doug has volunteered to be a write-in candidate for mayor in today's election because nobody was opposing Mayor Brian Hatch. Doug, is that right?
Yes, sir. Last name is Goff, just correct.
Goff.
Yes, sir.
All right. Is that like I hit a ball and I'm playing golf, or is there no L?
With two F's, Foxtrot.
Goff. Okay. All right. So, Doug, tell me the story. I don't have all the facts correct. I want you to tell me the story.
Okay. Well, it's a really easy story. Basically, what happened is we have a silhouette. It's of a soldier kneeling at a cross. And what happened was the creator of this, his name is Al Larson. He's a Vietnam veteran, Purple Heart. He was shot in Vietnam. The day after he was shot, his best friend, Robert W. Dio, was killed in action. Al was not able to attend the services. He saw him, well, he didn't see him. He saw him at his grave. That's the time he was being able to see him. And what happened was Al created this monument in his honor. Al created several of these. He created one for the Veterans Administration, and he created one for the park. What happened was the AMVETS, which is a local post for us, they put it in the city park without asking the city's permission.
Now, when was this, Doug? How long ago?
About a year ago.
Okay.
About 9-8 months, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
They didn't have a problem with it. Like, everyone loved it. Everyone around here has loved it. And then we had this big event called the Knoxville Nationals, which brings in people from all over the country and all over the world. And then all of a sudden after that, we had this fuss where we had one individual complaining that this cross, that this silhouette offended them.
What was the name of that person?
They remained anonymous. They will not tell us the name.
Well, so how do we know there is somebody?
Okay, so what happened was this anonymous individual sent a letter to the city council. The city council decided not to do anything with it because they did not see this as an offensive symbol. There was nothing wrong with it, and they ignored it, basically. So what this individual did is, and I hate using these guys' names, because they are the American United for the Separation of Church and State. They sent a letter to the city council saying that they had a month to either take down the silhouette, or they would sue the city. And apparently this is $1 million Washington, D.C. based group. So what happened was that was released to the news. And what we did as citizens, we organized a rally to show our support for this monument and for this cross. At the rally, we had about 2,000 to 2,500 people, depending on who you ask. So they held a city council meeting, a hearing, saying all this stuff. It was open to the public. There were, I would say, 100, 150 citizens that showed up and filled up the place to show their support for this. And the city council sat there, and they stated they would defend this cross, that they would do what they could to stand with us. And what they offered was to privatize the land. Well, here's where it really hurts me, because they show incompetence. They've had the lease since 1972 from the Veterans Administration that specifically states inside of it that this land cannot be sold or given to anyone except for a public entity for the use of a public park. So they've had the deed since 1972, and they didn't know that was in there, or they wanted to throw it out there to appease us. So they pretended like they were backed into a corner where they had no choice but to take it down, or this multi-million-dollar company, or I call them a company because that's what they are. They're a sue-for-profit industry. They would sue. And what we offered to do is we offered to start up a 501c3, which is a nonprofit organization, and we offered to raise the money to help fight. We had an attorney ready to do it pro bono. His name is I can't remember it right now, but he's from the Liberty Institute, a good organization that defends this type of a thing all the time. And they almost immediately turned him down. Before the rally, they even told us not to do anything like that because they didn't want to give anyone false hope. So right there, that tells you that they weren't going to fight it anyway. And then last night, they've been dragging their feet. I think it's been 2 or 3 city council meetings where they haven't made any mention of it. And then the city council meeting right before the election, they vote to take it down in a 3-2 decision. And we believe that is so that we wouldn't have as much time to run with this for the election, so that the election will be there tomorrow, and we want to be able to get the word out in time to the citizens. So it's really dirty, it's really backhanded, and it just shows how this city council thinks. They weren't going to support us, so let's just take it down as quickly as we can.
All right.
Now we have until Veterans Day, and after Veterans Day, they stated the silhouette will be removed.
All right, so here's my question.
Yes.
The deed's been done, right?
Yes, it has. The vote's already been done.
How can it be reversed?
That's what we're working on today. Today is the city election. We have three great candidates in there. If we get those 3 candidates in there, we're good. They will vote to save the silhouette. Basically, what will happen is we'll take it down and we'll put it back up, and they'll allow that.
Well, but what we really need is one more vote, right? It's 3-2 to take it down. So if just one of those people gets beat in the election, now it's 2-3, and those 3 people could vote to keep it.
Exactly, they could, but I don't know. With the mayor that we have, I do not believe he would bring it up for another vote. I believe that he would just keep it as it is, keep the order as it is, and have it removed, because he's got the votes necessary, and he controls the agenda. So if he controls the agenda, he can just decide not to bring that issue back up.
Well, Doug, God bless you for being Robert's Rule of Orders and following what you believe is the correct process, and I honor you for that. But let me tell you something. There's times when the Bible says we can go against our elected authorities. Mm-hmm. When they're no longer serving God's will, that means they're not within God's plan to be the leader of this community.
Exactly.
So if Mayor Brian Hatch, for some reason, is reelected, there are many things that your community can do to Mayor Brian Hatch to get this reversed. Now, let's talk about a couple of those things. And by the way, these are the opinions of J. Michael McCoy, not the radio stations. I'm not even Tamara. That's up to you. You claim what you want to claim when you use your own words. Chris, same thing. Doug, same thing. These are my opinions, not yours.
Yep.
But I need a little background. So what does Mayor Brian Hatch do for a living?
He's a county employee. I believe he works for the county, shoveling snow, doing that type of work.
All right. What does April Veerers do, who is one of the city councilmen, one of the 3 that voted against it?
She is retired. She doesn't do anything. And the funny thing is, she stated in one of the forums that she didn't even want to run. Her husband had talked her into it, so she doesn't even want the position.
All right, and what about Carolyn Formanek?
Now, this is the funny part. Carolyn claims to be a super businesswoman. She's owned several businesses, but they have all failed besides her husband. So she's I don't know what I would call her, but she tries to be a business mongol, and she's not.
What does her husband do?
He's a chiropractor.
Okay, let's start there.
Yep.
Everybody in Marion County who uses Dr. Formanek as a chiropractor, stop. Vote with your money.
Exactly.
Stop. Anybody who walks in to Dr. Formanek's chiropractic office after today, well, you're either a heathen or you're denying Christ. You pick. because these people voted to deny Christ in the public arena. Now, I don't care what man's law says, because it's man's law, not God's law. Man's law goes at the whim of the community. Man's law is determined by who gets credit. Man's law is determined by money, power, greed, position. God's law is God's law. He is the creator. Let's never forget that we are the creation. We don't honor and glorify and worship the creation. We honor the creator. Now, if you are a follower of Jesus Christ and your doctor happens to be Dr. Formanek,
Yes.
and you just don't feel inside that that's the right thing to do, then you tell me what you're going to do. I want to challenge you. I know, Mac's a little smarty pants when he gets all mad at stuff. Fine, I'm okay with that. I want to know what you're going to do. If you're not going to stop going to this chiropractor who supports his wife in denying Christ in the public arena, are you denying Christ? Oh, Peter, Peter, no, I don't know him. Cock-a-doodle-doo. I don't know him. Cock-a-doodle-doo. I don't know him. Deny Christ in the public arena, and guess who sees you do that? Jesus. You know, God is the most graceful, most forgiving, most mercy-filled individual, creator in all of mankind and beyond and beyond. But he makes it very clear over and over and over. The unforgivable sin, it's not adultery. It's not it's not swearing. It's not honoring your mother and father. It's not lying, cheating, stealing. It's not even having an abortion. The unforgivable sin is denying him. Denying that he is your creator. And when you deny his sign on public area, let me remind you, this is public. And last time I looked, citizens of Marion County, you're the public. You have to do whatever you can to deny these people one more minute, one more term. And if you can't just get them out by voting against them, then you got to hit them in their pocketbook. Frank?
It is said, if you deny Christ before man, Christ will deny you before the Father.
That's exactly right. All right, we have another call coming in. Doug, are you willing to just kind of hang with us for a while?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So the only person we can probably impact from a financial standpoint is the chiropractor, Dr. Formanek. Now, the mayor, Brian Hatch, he's a county employee, so he's a government employee.
The conflict of interest right there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, isn't that a conflict of interest?
Yeah, I think so.
How can a county employee be a elected official?
Well, I guess anything's, that's up to their statute and what their city says, but to me it's a real conflict of interest.
All right, we just had a line ring in, and Frank, it was so important that Frank talked, he forgot to answer the phone. Good job, Frank. Thanks a lot. I asked these people to call, and whatever.
The scripture was good.
Yeah, the scripture was good. 244-0077. Please call back. It's your voice we want to hear live in Mac's World. Next hour, Harvest Bible Chapel, plants in Grimes. I'll tell you about it.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed right or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
3:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour. Top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News expanded version. Then at 4:06, it is Ryan Jorgensen, Pastor Ryan Jorgensen, who last Sunday began weekly worship services in his brand new church building that you would know as the Gertz House. That's right, Dick and Betty Odegaard's business that was in the old Lutheran church in Grimes. That's been open for many, many years, was forced to close because their religious freedom was not respected. Just like the religious freedom of Al Larson in Knoxville, Iowa, who created this monument to his friend who died the day after he did, or I'm sorry, the day after he was hurt. Al, by the way, has a Purple Heart. 2,500 people rallied in this community to keep this. But as usual, elected officials who are more interested in greed, power, position, money, they decided to vote against God.
And the people. And the people.
And the people. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And we've got on the phone Doug Goff, right?
Yes.
All right. Now, and I want to make it clear, Tamara Scott on the air with me, Chris Roloff, station manager of KTIA, Frank Thomas, my producer and co-host, and mayoral candidate Doug Goff. And my opinions are none of their opinions. Okay, these people are not guilty by association. They have their own voices, their own opinions, and they can share with you what they want. Or they can allow me or someone else to speak for them. But both can be done. Now, before we continue on with this, Chris, we've got an exciting event coming up this Saturday here in Des Moines that people can participate in.
Yeah, regular 99.3 FM listeners have been hearing us promoting and advertising the Freedom Conference 2015. That is this weekend. It's Friday and Saturday at the Iowa Event Center. You can get tickets, I believe, are still on sale. You can go to Freedom 2015, that's 2015.org, freedom2015.org. See all the list of speakers. This is a religious liberties rally. This is a rally for Christians who hear the news of things like what's going on in Knoxville, what's going on at the Gertz House, what's going on all over the country right now, is our First Amendment rights, our religious liberties are being denied in this country, and it's of grave concern to you. If that sounds like something that you care about, this is an event I highly recommend you attend. Mac, myself, Tamara, Frank, we will all be there. 99.3 will be broadcasting live from the event on Saturday. And definitely look forward to seeing a lot of people out there. This is an increasing issue in our country, as Mac has pointed out, as Tamara has pointed out. So definitely want to go to this event and get informed on what you can do as a regular Joe citizen. Freedom2015.org is the website to get more details.
All right, and that's Saturday.
It is Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday.
We are simply going to be there Saturday for broadcasting purposes, but the event actually starts Friday afternoon, and then it's all day Saturday as well. A lot of folks are going to be there. The Bennon brothers are going to be speaking.
They're hilarious. If you haven't heard them, they're worth the trip.
They really are. They're a riot. Nagme, I believe I'm saying that right, Abedini, the wife of the...
She's the wife of Pastor Saeed,
Thank you.
who has been held in the prison in Iran, right?
Well, no, wait,
Yes.
wait, hold on.
Yes.
Didn't we negotiate with Iran?
Right,
and
right,
we let
right.
a bunch of bad guys go to get him back, right?
No, you're confusing negotiate with succumb to, comply
So
with,
our president-
appease our enemies.
Our president exchanged terrorists, known terrorists that were in captivity. We let him go back home, and we didn't even get Pastor Saeed out.
Well, you know we don't deal with hostage situations, right? You
What
know
about
that, right?
Burkow or whatever?
Only when we can trade a traitor for terrorists. Only then.
And I hope if you're listening, and you don't usually listen to this radio station, remember what this radio station was called by God: the truth. We're not Fox or CNN or CNBC or MSNBC or Des Moines Register. We're the truth. You can always find the truth here. Our president really did that.
Yeah.
He really allowed a pastor to sit in prison in Iran and let 4 or 5 terrorists go, as well as a traitor, an absolute traitor. By the way, that's all been proven. That's just not my opinion. That's been proven.
Well, and I think it was very intentional, and that's because our president has been clear on record to say that this is not a Christian nation. He has told the world and wants to tell the world that the United States, that America is not a Christian country, and so much so, he's willing to leave a Christian in jail just to prove his point. I think it's definitely motivated by his attempt to change the minds of the world around this country, what this country was founded on, who we are as a people, trying to change that.
Right. And I said earlier, I talked about the Mayflower Compact, and I would just ask everybody to go get a copy of that. Thanksgiving's coming up when we celebrate the Mayflower and the Pilgrims. Read that. Read how it was written as a tool of evangelism, why they were even coming here, because of the persecution of religion they had faced in their own country. They came here to evangelize and to start a Christian nation. I'm looking through and I'm scrolling through right now, George Washington, it's impossible to rightly govern the world without God and the Bible. It's the duty of all nations to acknowledge the providence of the Almighty God, to obey his will, to be grateful for his benefits, to humbly implore his protection and favor. I mean, it goes on and on. Our founding fathers, let me just read the Iowa preamble, by the way. We're in the state of Iowa here, and I believe it's all 50 preambles that mention God or the supreme being in some way. So here's Iowa's. We, the people of the state of Iowa, grateful to the supreme being for his blessings hitherto enjoyed, and feeling our dependence upon him for continuation of these blessings, establish this Constitution. So the folks in Knoxville would say, what about that?
Yeah. Will they just ignore that, deny that altogether?
So the folks in Knoxville just broke their oath to uphold that.
Yeah.
So this is not personal against any of them. I don't recognize their names, and I but they are not. They obviously do not understand the Constitution, the state, or the federal Constitution.
Tamara, let me ask you a question. Do you think that this is another instance of just the power of fear in our country?
Absolutely.
That the city council members in Knoxville were afraid of this lawsuit and just said, we can't win this. They're going to win, and we're just going to cower to that?
And they had an attorney who offered to fight pro bono.
Yeah.
But often it's money that drives this, and then the rationale, and I'm not going to speak for these folks because I don't know, but in past we've heard we are obligated to those other voters and we can't cost the city this much money to defend the truth. And that's the unfortunate thing. You can't afford justice anymore.
Doug Goff is on the phone with us. He is a mayoral candidate, a write-in candidate. Doug, who are the other two people running to unseat these unscrupulous elected officials?
We have 3 seats open, right? There are 3 seats that we're targeting. 2 are elected and 1 is an open seat. The individuals running are Rick Kingery. Rick Kingery is an amazing person. He stood up by our side throughout this whole thing. And the good thing about him is he's a good businessman.
Tell me his name slowly again.
Rick Kingery.
Carey is like in Jim Carrey?
Rick Kingery.
Yep.
Kingery.
All right.
Like King-ery.
Yep. And then there's James Lane. James Lane is a great guy. He's got a good family, and he's actually a Marine Corps veteran. He served in Iraq, so he understands the message behind this as well. And then the final one is Cal Stevens. Cal Stevens has been a long-time Knoxville resident, big member of the community, and he's just a great guy overall. And they've all stood with us from the very beginning. So these are individuals that this city needs right now. I mean, they're people who will stand with the community, and they'll stand behind the meaning of this silhouette.
All right, Doug, I appreciate those 4 names, including yours.
Well, and I'd really love when we come back from the break. Tamara, I was really moved when you shared the story of when you went to Knoxville when this was all kind of gearing up, and the response that you experienced, what you saw when you drove into Knoxville. I want people to hear this story when we come back, because it's, we hear these things and we think, well, the town's not really for this. This is just a couple of rogue people. And in Knoxville, that's not the case. That's not the case at all.
All right, we're coming back live here on The Truth. It's Max World Live. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and I want to tell you thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you. Right here on The Truth. Thanks for coming in today.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can give these grandkids back, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We can help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is
10 minutes before the top Salem Radio Network news. At the top 6 minutes of news to catch you up in the nation. And then later on in the 4 o'clock hour, I'm not sure exactly when, what a great reason to be late. He's at his son's teacher-student conference. Teacher-parent.
Who's that?
Pastor Ryan Jorgensen, who just planted the new Harvest Bible Chapel.
I heard service last week was great.
It was. I was there.
Were you there with Betty and Dick?
I cried.
I heard it was great.
He was. And I want to talk about it now. I'm trying to hold back my emotions because I want to share this with Ryan because it was a day like I haven't felt in a long time. And, you know, I have been at every campus opening for Hope, my church, for 12 years. And I was there when they opened Des Moines. I was there when they opened Ankeny. I was there when they opened Waukee. I was there when they opened Johnston Grimes. But it didn't feel like this. Uh-huh. This, as Dick said, felt victorious.
It is victorious.
Yeah. All right. Doug Goff is on the phone. He is a write-in candidate for mayor in Knoxville. We have 3 other people running. I want to make sure I get their names right. Cal Stevens, Rick Kearney, and James Lang. Is that right, Doug?
It was Rick Kingery.
Kingery, okay.
Yeah. But yes, those are right.
What is it like living in Knoxville right now, man? It's got to be tough for you. I mean, you've been there a long time. This is your hometown. It's got to feel just terrible.
There's one thing that I would like to tell you that I think would impress you. The Knoxville residents are amazing. We put over 2,000 white crosses into the people's yard to show our support for this memorial. Can you imagine driving into town and seeing over 2,000 crosses in people's yard? It's just so amazing. You can drive through town and just see all the white crosses in all the neighborhoods, and it about brings tears to your eyes just to see how much these people really support you and what they're doing to show their support.
Now, do these 2,000 people realize that their job is not yet done? That today they must go to the polls and unseat April Viers, Carolyn Formanek, and also her husband, who's a chiropractor. Stop supporting that business. Vote with your money. And Mayor Brian Hatch.
That's the message we put out to them, and I hope they're listening. I mean, I've been plastered all over the news trying to get this message out that we have to stop these individuals, because if they're willing to take this away from us, what's next? What else are they going to do? Are they going to ban churches from the city? I mean, I don't know what they're going to do.
Sure. Whatever the accuser can do to defame God, and whatever he can do to fool us that we can deny Christ but still call ourselves a Christian. Well, I'm a Christian. I go to church. I just don't want the city to spend the money on the lawsuit to defend putting a memorial in. Baloney. You're denying Christ. Let's just call you Peter. Simon, what were you going to say?
Well, they're a menace to liberty. It's that simple. So if you have social media available to you right now, Doug, is it Goff, Doug?
Yes.
Yes.
Go to his Facebook page. He's got the post on there with all the names. You can share that with all of your friends. Do we have it on our Truth
We do
Facebook
not.
page?
We can do that.
We'll get it on there.
Okay.
Share it with all your friends, the names of folks you should vote for. If you know someone who lives in Knoxville City proper.
Yep.
I can't vote today. I don't live in Knoxville. I can't even vote. I don't live in the city limits. So I don't get a vote today, even though these folks decide my tax rates. I'm, taxation without representation. I don't get that option. But those of you who do, call your friends, call folks you know who live in Knoxville, and tell them to get to the polls. There should be a line out the door until 9 p.m. or whenever your polls close this evening of folks repositioning and putting in people who will understand this nation was founded one nation under God. And our founding fathers wrote about it continuously. Chris, you wanted me to touch on what I felt when I came through.
Yeah.
Doug, that rally was put together like in 2 or 3 days.
Yes.
And so I came into town and it was already happening, and I came in, there was a crowd there, and there were thousands of veterans, bike riders, Harley riders, people in leather, homeschoolers, church people who had gotten out of church and were there in their church clothes. It was a diverse crowd of people who were united under our one nation under God.
Yeah, that was, and Doug, I appreciate the thousands of crosses lining the city streets. I love that. I want people to hear that and visualize that when we're talking about this. That's so powerful to me, because we hear things like this all over the country, right? We hear about bakers being persecuted. We hear about these different things. We hear about the Benham brothers, but this is going on in small town Iowa, and it is directly opposed to to the majority of the folks in town,
right,
this is not what they want. You have this overreach of power, this abuse of power. You know, you hear it's the number 5 with the Supreme Court, right? 5-4 vote with the courts. You've got the same thing here. You've got a 3-2 vote. You got 3 people making a decision for their representatives, and it's completely, or for their constituents, and it's completely against what their constituents want. What the people of Knoxville clearly want is for this memorial to stay, and you have 3 people saying no.
And folks, I would start taking photos of your crosses on your lawns, putting them on social media, that you stand with this memorial, with Al Larson, with the veterans, that this memorial needs to remain. The cross needs to remain. Again, as we said it on previous shows, they didn't deed the land behind underneath every tombstone in Arlington that might have a cross on it.
Not yet.
Oh, you're absolutely right, Tamara.
They didn't mark off the etching on the Supreme Court building that has Moses and the 10 Commandments. This is foolishness. This is someone who is misinformed and therefore a danger to what we have and we hold dear in our U.S. Constitution and our Bill of Rights. We have to correct the situation. This is every bit as serious, whether it's the Tea Party, whether it's Paul Revere, whatever it is. This is every bit as serious, folks. Thankfully, there's no blood. There's no coup. But we have it within our means today, Election Day, to take care of this and correct it.
Doug, I want to thank you for speaking out, speaking up. I'm sure you're not the most popular guy in some small heathenistic circles down there, but I sure appreciate you doing what you can do for the Lord and for your community.
Yes, sir, and I appreciate your guys' support. This has been awesome.
Yeah, we may give you a call tomorrow and kind of have you give us an idea of how things went down there.
Hey, I'm okay with that.
All right, Doug. God bless you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, bye-bye. All right, again, Cal Stevens, Doug Goff, Rick Kingery, and James Lang. Those are the people you should be voting for. If you're one of the people that put that cross in the front yard, you got one more job to do. Just one. Well, 2. First job is to go and vote, and the second job is to pray. Pray that things like this don't infiltrate any more small communities. It's time for the accuser to back up, Jack. You're not in charge. Oh, maybe you could mess with the minds of some people. You could even mess with my mind. Yep, from time to time, I go right there. But let's stay close to the Lord. Let's pray. Let's ask for His will be done. His will be done. His will be done. All right, coming back with Ryan Jorgensen, pastor of Harvest Bible Chapel, who now sits in the Gortz House as their new church, glorifying and worshiping Jesus. We're coming back. Thanks for listening to The Truth. That's right, The Truth, 99.3.